Ladies and gentlemen, budget travelers, paging all of you out there, this is the video that you've been waiting for. How to spend less than $35 per day in Latin America. Let's go. Do it? I'm telling you, I was eating pretty well. No, dude, you can do it too. These were some of the responses that I had to give when I told my friends that I spent less than $35 per day traversing around Mexico, Belize, and Guatemala for 3 months. Now, during that time, I was able to budget and also keep track of everything that I spent money on. Now, all of the people that are any financial planners out there or economists, they know that keeping track of all your expenses are key to understanding how you live and how you can better suit yourself and make yourself ready for the future. I took the same reasoning and decided to do this on my trip so I can understand what I was spending the most money on, if I needed to make any changes, and if I really knew if there was something that I really wanted to spend money on down the road, like a big trip to the Galapagos or something like that, I could do it if I reasonably spent the money. If you're interested in seeing all of the best activities, food, and overall great times that those 3 countries have to offer, stay tuned, you're at the right place. Now, as I was traversing through these 3 amazing countries that I could not recommend more to you, and obviously, if you're watching this, you're thinking about possibly going over there, you have to know that there are certain things that you need to kind of keep track of and understand your budgeting. Budgeting is key, whether it's beforehand or during. I had a sense of how much I was gonna spend in my mind before leaving, and I decided to track each and every expense along the way. And I am more than thankful that I have done that, because now I can look back and say I have done a $35 or less per day way to travel through these 3 amazing countries. Now, to do this, I had to split the budget into 6 categories, break it down and break down each expense into 6 categories to see how much I spent and whether there was something I spent too much on or too little on. So the 6 categories that I spent the money on were accommodation, alcohol, food, souvenirs, transportation, and activities. After spending these 3 months here, I'm currently in El Salvador, the next country on my list, 4 out of 17 that I'm going to on this trip. And breaking it down by all of these expenses, you can probably go guess and think that, wow, what would be the top expense? And yes, you are right, it is accommodation. Even though accommodations are pretty cheap here, it accounted for over a quarter of my overall spend, and that was staying in mostly dorms in hostels. If you wanna live the budget travel lifestyle, you have to throw yourself in the dorm beds. That means, yes, sleeping next to a stinky guy next to you. Yes, Jerry is snoring over there pretty loud. It's okay. You get earplugs, take some Ambien, whatever it is, pass out. It's all right, because at the end of the day, you will have more money to spend on activities and do really fun stuff. Fun stuff that you came down here to do. You did not come down here to get a good night's sleep. You can go and do that back at your 2-bedroom apartment in Westchester. But here, you sleep in the dorm, save that money. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, why would you want to stay in a hostel? That's gross, that's grimy, they're dirty. They're really not. They are nice places, nicer than you would think. And if you haven't stayed in a hostel before, I would highly recommend you doing it. You save a lot of money, much cheaper than Airbnbs. You do forego a bit of privacy, but in the process, you get to meet a ton of people. I've met so many cool people on this journey from all different types of walks of life and countries. I would highly recommend the hostels. On a daily basis, throughout Mexico, Belize, and Guatemala, you're gonna spend around 10 to 15 on average per night. The most that I spent on a hostel shared room was $20 a night, and the most spent for a private room was also $20 a night. Just give you a little perspective. When I broke it down to the exact amount that was spent on accommodations per month during those 3 months, it was roughly $330. And with my total spend of about $1,170, just say $1,200 to make it easy, per month, that accounted to roughly 28% of my total budget. So you gotta know that going into this, if you go and you splurge on hotels and Airbnbs all the time, you're gonna be skyrocketing your budget much more than you would think, and you'll be missing out on a lot of cool activities that these hostels put on, whether it's pub crawls or activities to go and hike the various volcanoes or go see the waterfalls. Those do cost money, but otherwise you have to go through tour agencies to go and book those. The hostels have tour agencies right inside. Another benefit that really hostels have that a lot of people don't think of or know is that you get free breakfast at a lot of them, especially in Mexico. I had no idea, and as I was on hostelworld.com, check it out, hostelworld.com, the source for the best hostels in all of the world. You can see if they include breakfast within the hostel or not. After having breakfast in the first few, it's just such a nice thing to be able to wake up, have some breakfast. Some of them were really gourmet. You would have thought that it was Emeril Lagasse, bam, cooking it for you, but no, it was not. It was some of the hostel workers. They throw it together. It was real tasty. And the great thing is you get a solid base before you go out for the day. Couldn't recommend it more. Then you're not searching for, your yogurt or your oats or your eggs, whatever you fancy, while you're walking around and trying to start your day. So now on to number 2. You're probably thinking alcohol. I would have probably thought so myself, but no. The thing about traveling and doing budget travels, you can't be spending all of your dollars, blowing your whole wad on alcohol all the time. You can do ways and things that'll cut down those costs. But let me first talk about food, the number 2 thing that I spent my money on. I spent roughly $270 per month on food, accounting for 23% of my total budget spent in these 3 months. When we're talking about food, this means that if you are a budget traveler, you cannot be going out to restaurants every night. There's 2 things that you need to really ingrain in your mind. 1, street food, and 2, groceries. Now when it comes to street food, most people do get grossed out and think that you're eating some dog or some zebra or some rat or some shit on the street that just isn't good for you. But I will attest that after 3 months of eating the street food in all 3 of those countries, it is tasty. There are a lot of fruit carts that you can go and dabble into, and there's tons of options. In Mexico, it is very taco heavy, but look, when you're getting 3 tacos for less than $1.50, I don't really think you can complain. You have a bunch of salsas. If you throw that on there, that counts as vegetables, right? But at the end of the day, trust the local advice. If they tell you that the street food is not good in their area, do not do it. I had traveled around Mexico for about a month, and I came across a town called San Cristobal de las Casas. And Diego, shout out Diego, what's up, man? He told me, do not go and eat the street food. And I said, oh, Diego, come on. I've been eating the street food for a month in Mexico now. I know what I'm doing. I can handle it. I got a stomach of steel, which I usually do have a very strong stomach. I ended up going to eat the street food, and I was in and on my deathbed for about a day and a half. So trust the local advice. Don't eat the street food if they tell you not to. One thing that I found that helped me save quite a few pesos or dollars or quetzales if you're in Guatemala was having a water purifier on you. Before leaving, I invested in the Grail water purifier. Now this thing is awesome. You can take water from any clean water source or fresh water source. You can't use salt water if you're thinking or wondering about that if you're at the ocean. But if you use a clean water source like any fountain, local fountain or even faucet at the hostel, it purifies. It's like having a Brita filter in your backpack. Dude, put some more effort into it. Come on. Push. Could not recommend that more. Grab one of those because then you don't have to spend the $1, $2 a day on water. If you're a budget traveler, it is worth investing in this Grail. It's only $60 and you get daily use, multiple daily uses out of it. Best purchase of the trip so far. And if you're someone who really enjoys drinking sodas, look, save the calories, get some water, bring your filter, unless it's time for horchata. Paging all of you that have sweet tooths out there, like myself, you might be inclined to try the ice cream on the street, to dabble in the dessert at the restaurant, but hold off because those end up costing 4 to 5 times as much because they know that tourists are going to have them. They are incredibly tasty, but you can get something that will be just as satisfying. They have these things called paletas. Go get a paleta, it's like an ice cream bar. Get one of those or get a local candy. You're trying something that's different than the norm back home, which might be the ice cream or the gelato. Get out of your comfort zone. The next one, which is my favorite, is activities. Now, I've spent about 22% of my entire budget on activities, roughly $255 per month. And this category is super important to kind of put in your mind that you're gonna be spending a lot of money on, because you're gonna get to hike these incredible volcanoes. You're gonna get to go and swim in these amazing waterfalls, and you're gonna have these memories that are in your life forever. So within this category includes everything from the tours to going and doing it by yourself. Now, doing it by yourself can be important at times. I have the Lonely Planet guidebook on my Kindle, and I bring it everywhere I go. So when I get to a place where I think that a tour guide is not necessary, you save those pesos, save those pesos, bring your Kindle, and be your own tour guide while you're there. And being your own tour guide can be fun, especially if you meet some other travelers. This happened to me a couple times where it was the Marco Polo tour guide. And I would teach everyone exactly what was going on, and you learn more from that kind of money. Me and my crew don't have that kind of money, so I will be the guide today via the Kindle, all right? Thank you, Lonely Planet. But at times, even if you are the staunchest budget traveler, you need to do tour guides, and you have to do them in the right way. Now, a lot of the hostels have their own travel agencies inside them. Make sure you check out the prices for the tours that you're interested in, but don't instantly just go with the hostel. Go out into the town and check out what their rates are, because a lot of the times the rates outside in the city will be cheaper than that inside the hostel. Not every time, but still worth doing. One benefit of going with the hostel is if a lot of people from your hostel are going as well, then you get to instantly make those connections and hang out with those people and see what you guys might want to get into later because you're staying in the same hostel. One other thing that I want to touch on that I threw into this category of activities, even though it doesn't really fit, I didn't want to have a supplies category, so I kind of threw all the supplies like toothpaste, deodorant that I've had to buy during that time, which are very minimal costs. I threw that into activity. And one thing that I will mention is the Scrubba washing machine bag. I decided that I would buy this Scrubba washing machine bag. Costs about $60 on Amazon, folds up into nothing, just like this. And you're able to throw your clothes in there, you put a little dishwashing detergent in there, and you just scrub it out. It's like having a washboard in a bag, all rolled up, very small. Get one of these and you're able to do your wash yourself. You hang them outside at the hostels, all your stuff dries really quick, and you save a bunch of money because laundromats will end up charging you about $5-6 just to do your load of laundry every time. That adds up. So that's one way that's amazing to save some money. Yes, I know you're probably confused that alcohol hasn't come up, but just wait, all right? And no, it's not gonna be here either. The fourth of my categories that cost money was transportation. For transportation, I've only spent about $165 per month, approximately 14% of my total budget, and yours might be a little bit higher. My trip has been only over land. That means keeping your costs down quite a bit. If these are landlocked countries though, you are able to do it. However, you do sacrifice time. I currently have the ability to take the ground transportation without having to worry about time. If you are in the similar situation, I would definitely recommend doing so. However, in places like Mexico, flying within the country can be decently cheap, so make sure you check out the rates beforehand. However, while you're in the city that you're exploring, stay away from the taxis. You don't need to take the taxis. They will be charging you anywhere from $4 to $6 per ride and are just not worth it. Because at the end of the day, you can walk to get around, stay in shape a little bit, or you can go and take the local buses. The local buses are great, and there's a reason that most of the population takes them. They get you as close from point A to point B as possible, and although it sometimes can be a bit dangerous, just make sure you watch your pockets when you're going in. And just as a reminder, because I'm a solo traveler, this is focused more towards solo travel. If you're with a partner or someone else, taxis or Ubers, which by the way, most of these places do have Ubers now. Wild, 2019 coming in hot. If you are traveling as a couple or with a buddy, Ubers and taxis can make sense. Fifth, and finally, out of 6 categories, alcohol. Out of my total budget, I've spent about 12% of it on alcohol, about $140 per month. Now, I'm from LA. I have easily spent $140 out at a night. Bungalow, the Whaler, wherever it might be, for all you people on the west side that know, it's gonna cost $140 sometimes if you're just going out with friends, and I know people who've bought rounds for $140. I went to a club recently and it was $80 to get in, and then you had a minimum spend of $50, so it adds up. Now, when you're down in these countries though, you can easily get by if you're smart. Now, when I say if you're smart, you have to somehow try and skip the mixed drinks. Now, that means beers. And I know it's gonna put on a lot of calories if you think of it like that, but I have been losing weight while I've been traveling. A lot of it might be muscle, some of it I might be adding in my gut because of the beer, but the beer is way cheaper. We're talking $1 or $2 at a bar compared to a mixed drink, which can be up to $7 or $8. As a budget traveler, you need to think about that a couple times. I've obviously had some mixed drinks because I was sick of the beers, but the great thing is in Mexico and these places, you have a good variety of pretty good beer. One of the secrets that I love that has really helped me save some money is going to a grocery store and buying a bottle, whether it be rum, mezcal, or vodka, or tequila. Throw it in there. Grab a bottle and have that in your bag at all times. Some hostels won't like it because they have bars associated with the hostels, and if you're drinking out of your own bottle, you're taking potential money away from them. But at the end of the day, it is worth it to sneak a few drinks. Just don't almost get kicked out of a hostel like I did for doing it. And the last category, which would probably be more expensive for a lot of you, but has been really cheap for me, has been souvenirs. I've literally only spent $13 per month, and the souvenirs are very small for me. I bought a couple shirts for some family members, and my mom and I have a Christmas tree where we put on all types of different ornaments from places that we've traveled to. Shout out, Mom, what's up? That I've been buying and putting in my backpack. So souvenirs might be more expensive for some of you, but especially if you're gonna be backpacking for anywhere over a few months, it's worth it to at least hold off on those until you're towards the end of your trip. A lot of the little knickknacks, paddywhacks that you can buy in Mexico, you can get really everywhere. So that is gonna do it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please take some of these tips to heart when you're going on your next backpacking trip. Again, a lot of these kind of apply for solo travelers, but can be applicable to some people who are couples or that are going on a long trip with a friend. Until next time, hasta luego.